Hi, I'm John Townsend. I'm here at Mississinawa 1812, and I'm talking with Karen Hainlen.
Yes.
And we're discussing her crafts and the reenacting kind of thing she does with her and her family. Karen, how long have you been doing historical reenacting?
Oh, well, I started at Conner Prairie
Okay.
18 years ago.
Okay.
So we've been doing this about 12 years.
So what exact kind of reenacting kind of things do you do?
I guess my craft is I start out spinning,
Right.
just demonstrating the great wheel,
Right.
and drag my husband along. And then I start wearing the things that I made. People start asking me, well, where'd you get those things? And it's like, well, I made them. And they said, well, do you think about selling them?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I hadn't even thought about it, but now it's turned into a full-time job.
Okay.
So everything I do is all hand spun,
Uh-huh.
hand knit, hand wove. You know, start from start to finish,
Right.
making it as traditional as possible, as correct as time period wise as I can.
Right. And it's amazing. This piece you have on, you
Yes,
made.
yes. Spun the
All
wool,
Right.
spun the wool, wove the cloth.
Dyed the yarn.
Dyed the wool. It is
Right.
traditional Linsey-woolsey material.
All right. So how did you get started? Even at Conner Prairie, how did you get started in doing that?
I'd been spinning for quite a while.
Okay.
I went there for a sheep to blanket weekend,
Okay.
and they kept saying, because I bring things along with me that I'd done.
Right.
Most people just bring a wheel and wool and spin and that's it.
Right.
I bring things I've actually done.
Mm-hmm.
And they started saying it, and they says, well, you need to apply for a job here.
Ah.
So I went and talked to the lady, and she was just like, oh yeah, sure. She said, well, what all can you do? And then I started listing off all the things that I did, the spinning, the weaving, the cooking, the fire, everything like that. And her mouth actually dropped open and said, when can you start? So I started within a month there and worked there for a little over 4 years.
You know, as you've been doing your research
Yes.
and actually doing the things, it's not just
Right.
reading a book, but it's actually doing the sort of experimental archaeology, right?
Yes, yeah.
What sort of interesting discoveries have you made while you've been doing it?
I read several books, like The Midwife's Tale, that talks
Right.
about the spinning, and she had a loom and how different people would use the loom. I've talked to different interpreters, people who've already done a lot of the research, and talked to them and found a lot of interesting things out. And just like the whole story of the Spinster, where society turned it into meaning just an old maid,
Right.
it was an actual job title. It was actual job, and society changed it and turned it into something not so nice.
Right.
So a lot of those things is just like, wow, that's really interesting. And I go into Linsey-woolsey, and what's so interesting in that is it was all done up in the north. Linen is flax; it grows
Right.
like wheat. Cotton's all down south.
Right.
And to ship it up here was costly. So the people in the north did a lot of linen, wool, or Linsey-woolsey.
If someone came to you and said that they were interested in reenacting, what sort of advice would you have for them?
Don't expect to start out knowing everything.
Right.
You got to start small. You add a little bit, you learn a little bit. It's just about like everybody else. They start dressing in one way and then you realize, oh, that's not quite right. So then you change. Talk to a lot of people, talk to different people who do this. And I don't expect to be perfect your first time out.
Everyone starts out as a beginner.
Yes, they do. And I don't look down on those people. They're
Right.
learning. I had to learn somewhere, and you don't start out knowing everything all at once. You
Right.
just pick it up as you go. Yeah, once they do it for a little while, then they learn, okay, what persona do I want? Do I want lower class, mid class, upper class?
Right.
And it all requires different clothes, different setups, different, So start out small and work figure out what you want,
get
and
better.
then, yes, then get better.
Get better. Yeah, everyone is on a path.
Yes.
From starting to whenever they're done.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Tell us about how you work with your family in the reenacting setting.
Have 3 daughters. When we first started doing this, they kind of came along. 2 of them decided this wasn't for them.
Right.
One of them really enjoyed it, until the 2 older ones got married, and their spouses thought, oh, "This is cool. I want to do this." Then the daughter's like, "Oh no, we gotta get back
We're
into
gonna
this
get drugged
again."
back into it.
And it wasn't until I started having grandkids, dressed them up, walked down Mississinawa, and they're all in the coats and their mitts and the muffs and the hats and
Right.
everything I made, and people say, "Oh, that's just so cute. Where'd you get that?" And of course, Papa was saying, Granny made it.
They're right back
there. And my daughter walked with him once, and she couldn't believe all the people that would just stop and talk to her daughter and different things, and so interesting. And they realized that this is one of the safest places to have kids. That once they're in costume, it's not just mom and dad's watching them.
Right.
Everyone else who's in costume is watching them as well.
Right.
And it's so safe. My middle daughter realized, okay, this is very family oriented. This is what we're wanting.
Right.
We like for our kids to come. So we started bringing the granddaughters out when they were like 4 years of age, started coming with us camping, and kind of dragged mom and dad in. Now they come several events with us, set up, help us with the business, and my one daughter's starting to weave a little bit and pulling them in that way. And my oldest granddaughter, who turned 7 just recently, learned how to knit this past summer. So it's just like, that's good, and I'm kind of glad of that.
Bringing them in. Tell me about the idea of doing reenacting full time. I mean, this is what you do.
I do. This is my full-time job.
Right.
I live at least half my life in the 18th century, in the 1700s. The weaving, the spinning, the knitting, the sewing, I do it all by hand. So it is, I really do live half my life in the 1700s. It's just my lifestyle. It's just what I do.
Do you find it fulfilling?
I do. I love it because I'm starting from raw wool and I get this finished product, whether it's weaving it into material and then sewing it into a garment or just knitting it into something. It's very fulfilling because, you're going from start to finish.
Right. You end up with, I made this all the way from start to
all
finish.
the way.
Right.
From the raw
Not
wool
many
off the
people
sheet
can say
to,
that.
No. It is very fulfilling. I really enjoy it.
I really would thank you, Karen, for
Sure thing.
sharing
Thank
with us
you.
this story.
Yes.
If you're interested in Karen's work, I will make sure to put a link to her website down in the comment section below or in the description section of this video. I want to thank you especially for sharing with us all this, and I want to thank everyone out there for watching. If you're new to our channel, I want to welcome you. You can subscribe by clicking the button right up here. Also check out our related videos. Thanks so much for watching.